He was not born a betrayer. He was a son, a boy with dreams, a man with a place in the story of Israel. But destiny is a cruel master. In the Reston Olesen, Judas Iscariot, his name meant man of Kerioth, a village far from the bustling courts of Jerusalem. Unlike the fisherman from Galilee, Judas came from the south. He was educated, shrewd, clever with money. He knew trade, he knew numbers, and he knew how to read people. When whispers spread of a rabbi walking the countryside, healing the blind, raising the lame, feeding crowds with scraps, Judas was intrigued. Not out of faith, not yet, but out of ambition. If this rabbi was truly the Messiah, Judas would be at his side when the kingdom rose. The first time he saw him, Judas felt something he could not explain. Jesus was no ordinary teacher. His voice pierced deeper than law and argument. His eyes, calm but commanding, seemed to look straight into the soul. And when he said, "Follow me," Judas obeyed, invested. The days that followed were unlike anything Judas had known. He saw miracles with his own eyes. A leper cleansed at a touch, a paralytic rising from his bed, a child once dead now laughing in her mother's arms. The others gasped in wonder. Peter, bold and reckless, declared Jesus the Christ. John, young and tender, leaned close with love. And Judas? Judas calculated. Every miracle was a sign. Every crowd that gathered, a potential army. Every coin in the offering bag, a seed of a future kingdom. Judas was made keeper of the money box. He managed the donations given to Jesus' ministry. It was an honor, a position of trust, but it also gave him temptation within reach. The others prayed. Judas counted, and sometimes he helped himself, quietly. A coin here, a coin there. No one noticed. Or perhaps one did. It is a dangerous thing to steal when the master sees all things. But Judas did not yet fear. Invested. For 3 years, Judas walked with him. He saw the blind see, the deaf hear, the demons flee. He even preached in his name, cast out spirits, and healed the sick. But the more Judas saw, the more restless he became. Because Jesus did not rise as Judas expected. No throne, no armies, no kingdom of iron and gold. Instead, talk of humility, of serving others, of losing one's life to save it, and worst of all, talk of dying. A Messiah who would die. To Judas, it was madness, a wasted cause. Invested. The turning point came in Bethany. A woman broke a jar of expensive perfume worth a year's wages and poured it over Jesus' feet. The room filled with fragrance. But Judas's nostrils flared not with awe, but with anger. Judas, under his breath, what a waste. That could have been sold, and the money given to the poor. But his words were not for the poor. They were for himself. And Jesus knew it. Jesus, firmly, "Leave her alone. She has done a beautiful thing for me. She has prepared me for burial." Burial. The word pierced Judas like a blade. Was this truly the path? To follow a man who spoke not of conquest, but of death? That night, Judas lay awake. The weight of the money bag rested on his chest. He stared into the dark, listening to the sound of the other disciples sleeping. But in his mind, voices stirred. 30 pieces of silver. He is no king. The priests will pay well. And so the seed of betrayal was planted. A seed watered by greed. A seed fed by disappointment. A seed that would grow into a noose. But betrayal does not begin in the kiss. It begins in the heart. And Judas's heart was already shifting in the shadows. Jerusalem was restless. The city swelled with pilgrims for Passover, and with them came whispers, rumors of rebellion, of a prophet who might be king. The priests watched with suspicion. The Romans tightened their grip, and Judas watched both with unease. Rand, the chief priests, had long despised Jesus. He had mocked their authority, overturned their tables, called them hypocrites before the crowds. But until now, he was untouchable, protected by the people who clung to him. Still, the priests waited for the right man, the right moment, the right weakness, and weakness found them. Rand. His feet carried him not to prayer, but to shadowed alleys. The money bag at his side felt heavier than ever, coins clinking like accusations. Greed whispers. Disappointment grows louder, and both can drown the voice of love. The door creaked. Judas stepped inside. Their eyes turned on him, sharp and suspicious. Prized, low, deliberate. "What will you give us if I deliver him to you?" Silence. The priests glance at one another. A hand slides forward a bag of silver. 30 coins. Cold, metallic, the glint of betrayal. It was the price of a slave. And for it, Judas sold a friend. The night air was cold, but sweat clung to his brow. He told himself it was necessary, that Jesus had gone too far, that handing him over might force his hand, might finally make him reveal his power, rise as the conquering king. But beneath every excuse, the silver weighed heavier. The deal was struck, and Judas walked among the disciples by day, keeping his secret in the shadows of his heart. The Last Supper. Jesus broke the bread, his voice steady but grave. "Jesus, one of you will betray me." Shock. The disciples murmur. One by one they protest. "Surely not I, Lord." Judas forces a calm smile. His hands sweat. His heart pounds. He knew the question would come, but nothing could prepare him for the eyes. Jesus looks directly at Judas. Jesus, quietly, to him. "What you are about to do quickly." The bread still on his tongue tasted bitter. The wine, like blood. And in the streets of Jerusalem, Judas felt the cold embrace of destiny. His mind raced. Would the others know? Would Peter follow him? Would Jesus resist? Or would he, at last, unleash heaven's army and prove himself? Hope, fear, greed, regret. Each step twisted them tighter around his soul. In the chambers of the priests, torches burned, soldiers waited, and Judas let them. The betrayal was set, the trap was ready, and all it would take was a kiss. It was midnight in Gethsemane. The disciples were weary, their eyes heavy with sleep, but Jesus prayed, alone, wrestling with the weight of the world. Judas knew the place well. How many times had they gathered here? How many times had they laughed beneath these trees, shared bread on these stones, spoken of the kingdom that was to come? Tonight, he would bring soldiers to those same shadows. The priests had given him a signal, a kiss, the most intimate of greetings turned into a dagger, and Judas accepted. The soldiers entered like wolves, but Jesus did not flee. He stepped forward, calm as still water. In Jesus. "Whom do you seek?" Soldiers. "Jesus of Nazareth." In Jesus. "I am he." In that moment, Judas could have turned back. He could have dropped the silver, fallen to his knees, begged forgiveness. But the trap was already sprung, and so he stepped forward. Judas, softly. Rabbi, and the world shuddered, for a kiss meant love, but this kiss meant death. The garden erupted. Steel against flesh, shouts against prayers, and Judas, standing back, watched it unfold with eyes that refused to meet his. Even then, the betrayed healed his captor. Even then, mercy poured out where vengeance was deserved. But Judas felt none of it. The coins in his pouch clinked louder than miracles. And Judas? He remained in the shadows of the trees, alone. The night closed in around him. The kiss still burned on his lips. The deal was done. The silver was his. But peace was gone. What is the weight of 30 pieces of silver compared to the weight of a soul? Early morning, the city of Jerusalem wakes. Market stalls open. Doves coo. Somewhere in the distance, a rooster crows. Dawn rose over Jerusalem. But for Judas, the light brought no peace. Every sound of the city seemed sharper. Every whisper seemed about him, and every shadow carried the face of the man he betrayed. The 30 silver pieces clattered with each step. He thought they would bring him security. Instead, they hissed like snakes in his pocket. Judas had what he wanted, but it no longer wanted him. I have sinned. I have betrayed innocent blood. The priests looked at him coldly and said, "What is that to us? See to it yourself." No comfort. No absolution. The men who paid him had no use for him now. The betrayer has served his purpose. He cast the silver back into the temple. Every coin rang like a curse. Every clang like a nail driven deeper into his heart. His mind was a storm. He saw Jesus' eyes, calm even in chains. He saw the garden, the kiss, the torches. He heard the clink of silver louder than his own heartbeat. Regret is a cruel master, and for Judas, its chains were unbreakable. Hope was gone. Friends were gone. Faith was gone. And Judas was alone. He looked at the rope. He looked at the tree. He looked at his trembling hands. The man who had walked with the light now fled into darkness. And so, the betrayer ended his story. Not with silver, not with triumph, but with the silence that would echo for eternity. This was the price of blood. Morning haze drifts over Jerusalem. The temple bells ring faintly. Inside the council chamber, priests gather, staring at the 30 scattered coins lying cold on the temple floor. The betrayer was gone, but his silver remained, unwanted, untouched, a curse upon the hands that had once paid it out. High priest says, "It is not lawful to put them into the treasury. It is the price of blood, blood money." Coins that had bought betrayal could buy nothing pure. And so the priests took counsel together. With Judas's 30 silver pieces, they purchased a field, a place for strangers to be buried, a land scarred by death, now marked by betrayal. From that day forward, it was called Akeldama, the field of blood. Some said he hung himself there, beneath a lonely tree. Others whispered his body burst upon the stones below. Either way, his name was sealed in infamy. The disciples gathered in secret, mourning, their faces heavy with grief, confusion, and fear. Among the 12, there were now 11, the circle broken, the prophecy fulfilled. Judas, the name that once meant praise, now meant betrayal. His silver bought a graveyard, his kiss bought a cross, and his life bought a lesson that would echo through the ages. 30 pieces of silver, a kiss in the night, and a soul lost to despair. This was the story of Judas Iscariot, the betrayer, the cursed, the man who traded eternity for the price of blood.